Hey guys, it's Jake Mace, the Vegan Athlete. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we start, hit the like button, comment down below, hit the bell button and turn post notifications on. And I'll get in there in the comments and talk with you guys about vegan food and gardening. I've been vegan 17 years now since I was a teenager, and vegan diet and gardening go hand in hand with what I do because I'm trying to grow as much of the food that I eat in my diet as possible. So today I got you guys an amazing garden in somebody's backyard we're gonna go check out together, and I hope you guys love these garden tours. If you do, tell me. Let's go check out this incredible garden growing a ton of food in the backyard. Hey Tony!
Hey, what's going on, Jake?
What's happening?
Not much, man. Welcome to the garden.
You guys, this is my friend Tony. Tony grows food, Tony.
Mr. Jake, how you doing, sir? Nice to see you.
Dude, in the Phoenix area, you are growing tons of gardens.
I grow a little bit of stuff here and there, once in a while.
And your Instagram, Tony Grows Food, is all about gardening. Pretty
much, you know, there's here and there we'll throw in a little personal piece, but it's very much dedicated to food growing in a way with integrity. And really just helping other people do the same.
And what's up with this garden? Can I come in and check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on in.
All right.
Love to have you. It's actually looking really good right now. These nice November temperatures have really been supporting a lot more of our leafy greens, kales, and you can see the flowers are really blooming. This garden is, well, thank you, sir.
I'm gonna save you there.
This garden's about, I think about 16, 18 months old.
Okay.
And what this was before was basically just a dirt piece of nothing.
We're in North Phoenix area, very nice area, Paradise Valley, beautiful home.
Yes.
And so they just had this side space that you turn into a garden for them.
And I think it's about 200 feet long by about 30, between 30 and 15 depending. So it's a really good sized space, and the homeowner wanted to do something a little bit over the top a little bit. And so we put this design together with the raised beds, and we really wanted to get a lot of function here, a lot of usable food, and we also really interlaced the beds with a lot of fruit trees. And what that's going to do is not only provide food, but also some shade, habitat. You know, things like a praying mantis, they need to lay their egg sac, they need something for like 6 months. So if you've only got annuals in your garden, you're really missing out on a lot of that structure for beneficial insects, birds, whatever it might be. And just the shade here in Phoenix, you know, we just need that really.
Like, we have too much sun.
Absolutely,
almost.
Absolutely. That's why we don't have daylight savings time. People are like, get this day over with.
Exactly.
And it's been too long already.
So you're kind of exercising permaculture here, combining fruit trees with vines, with annuals and perennials all together. Absolutely.
And you know, I think it's kind of like an adaptive urban style permaculture. You know, some people might disagree with raised beds being permaculture.
Some folks in the Phoenix area think raised beds shouldn't be done because the plants stay cooler in the ground.
Correct, and that's true.
But I grow in raised beds.
Yeah,
so
well, and there's a place for everything, and you know, you got to pick your battles. One thing I really like about raised beds is that you really get to control what you're putting in there. So instead of, you know, like let's say you move into a place that might be 40 or 50 years old, instead of trying to navigate what might have been there before, you just start fresh. So that's a really nice piece.
And you leave the bottom of the beds open so that bugs and microbes can still crawl up in the bed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes, like in this property, we're right on a kind of like a wash area. What we did was we put some chicken wire underneath to deal with some of the burrowing creatures. There's like a round-tailed ground squirrel. This is a pretty basic box, but a pretty over-the-top garden as far as the amount that we're growing here. And today we're actually going to be planting this little herb garden here. We've got a little bit of dill, cilantro, and parsley here, but we're going to really up our game. What had happened, that rosemary was about the size of a smart car here.
It was
huge. We took probably 12 bags of rosemary from here and distributed them to our friends and family. And then here we actually have, there was a little baby quail nest, and we didn't even know it was there because this was so overgrown. And I mean,
it just goes to show you, when you plant in your garden, you're bringing life to everything in the area.
100%, and it's all life, you know. And that's one thing that I always tell my clients, like, I've got bugs on my plant, I say, well, relax. That's a symptom. There's a reason why they're there, and that's either, you know, maybe you're watering too much and your soil's got anaerobic, or maybe you're not feeding. Your soil's, you know, depleted a little bit and not feeding that plant. That bug is telling you, hey, you need something else, because just like us, and you know all this stuff, is like when we're healthy, when we're eating right, you're not getting sick all the time. No, you're healthy all the time, you know, and that's with plants too, so.
You know, and I would say too that why would you want to eat food that doesn't have bugs on it? Because if the bugs don't want it, why would you want to eat it?
That's true, you know.
When the bugs are going after it, it's much healthier than this pesticide spray.
I'd rather see
food.
a cabbage worm than an organic label.
Absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely.
That's you know, you could, even the organic pesticides, I stay away from them. You know, and there's been a few things, a few circumstances where I've, you know, like squash bugs, I'll pull those off or pull the eggs off and squish them. For the most part though, and it takes some time to establish, but I let nature do its thing.
Yeah.
If you see here, we've had hummingbirds, you've got bees, you've got all kinds of ants, and you know, people are like, oh, there's ants in my garden bed, what do? Leave them be. Why do you think they're there? They set up shop because they have enough of what they need to survive, and what they need to survive is going to be part of this whole system that really feeds us, and we need to respect more as humans, in my opinion.
And talking about bugs like ants, they're necessary because this hard, compact clay soil, the ants are helping to break up and aerate that soil.
And they're like a cleanup crew.
Yeah.
You know, I've noticed one time many years ago when I kind of first started my gardening adventures, I went and I had ant hill in my compost pile. And I went and I eradicated it, right? And I had a big pepper patch right next to that. And I had never had any issues with the peppers of any kind. Well, I went away for 3 days, went to California for a little trip, and I came back and there was so many tomato hornworms, I could have, you know, there was like 20 of these things. And my thinking is that after eradicating,
you threw the balance off.
Exactly. You know, they were harvesting those larval the worms to keep it in balance. You know, maybe one or two get through.
We're keeping the hornworms at bay.
Exactly. And maybe it wasn't the ants directly, but something in that kind of circle of life there was blocked by, you know, the ignorant man.
Of the great circle of life.
Exactly.
Let's go see this garden you're growing.
All right, sounds good, Jake.
Number one, Tony, what are some of the fruit trees that you have planted here? Just list some off for our crowd.
Oh, well, we've got a lot of citrus, including lemons, oranges, Buddha hand, grapefruit. We've got a couple different types of mulberries, figs. There is some beautiful pomegranates over there. Some stone fruit coming through here too. Some different types of low chill hour peaches, which is really important to make sure that you're not getting a peach that needs 600 hours, or any fruit tree really.
Because the Phoenix area doesn't have that many chill hours.
Exactly.
And for folks that don't know, chill hours are some fruit trees need certain cold temperatures under 45 or so to fruit and live nice. Correct.
And so the fruit tree basically goes dormant, and I kind of think of it as like saving up energy for next year. It's resting, almost like a hibernation. But a lot of, and this is kind of off topic, but a lot of places, especially big box store, will sell fruit trees that are really not meant for here.
For our area.
Correct.
And that's one of the arguments for always supporting a local nursery or grower.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to carry things that are for this area.
Yeah, and they're going to, you know, be a little bit more personable because, you know, you might have an area, like we're on the canal here, and it does stay a little cooler actually, but I had like a cherry tree here that was more specific for higher elevation in Arizona.
And it didn't do well.
It failed, yeah, especially with this kind of the sun here in the summertime. But that's why we've done, you know, and this is an experiment always too, still, even though I've been doing this for 8 years, we're still trying new stuff and learning. but you know, we've got like some mulberries, 2 large mulberry trees that are really setting, creating some shade in the western sun. And you know, I think it's all kind of working out. Again, we're not too far in. So.
And if we crouch down here, why did you decide to bring in all these wood chips? Talk to my garden audience about wood chips.
So here we've got a, you know, let's see, we're getting to the soil here about probably 5 inches down. And if you look at this soil, look at how dark it is, okay? This looks like, you know, soil you might buy at the store, and it's labeled as potting soil, and it's probably $12 for a bag. This is actually being created by the decomposition of all this organic wood material.
And so this is like the humus, the forest humus.
Yeah, it smells good.
It doesn't smell like fertilizer, it smells like the forest.
It does, and that's what we're really doing here is replicating the forest by taking wood chips, organic matter, compost, letting nature really break that down, just like it would in the forest, with leaves falling, branches, you've got birds doing their business, and deer or whatever. Everything kind of works together in unison. And that word permaculture, like if I was going to say one thing that I would encourage people to study, if this kind of thing is what, you know, they want to do, would definitely be permaculture. Permaculture.
That's the buzzword, which is just basically creating a forest in your backyard that works as a unit.
Absolutely, and that's a great way to say it too, is as a unit, and really being mindful about your placement and planting and where your water's going, and also what you do with it too. You know, part of permaculture is really ethical, and I think our society could use some ethics at some point.
So this is the before, the wood chips before, and then you're holding the wood chips after many months.
Yeah, we've been here for, I don't know, maybe 16 or 18 months, and this is like, you can't even tell that this was really that really light, sandy, kind of hard clay when you get down soil before, and now look at it. So if the number one thing that I tell people for their gardens is take care of the soil, not the plant. And that's what we're doing here, is we're building the soil
through the wood chips.
And through wood chips, it's really easy.
And any kind of mulch, really.
Yeah, you could do straw or other organic material. Leaves are going to be really good for a garden because they're going to be really high in bacteria. These wood chips are going to be really good for these fruit trees because they're going to be high in fungal content, which is going to be better for your trees. They're made out of chitin or chitin, and they're going to just use the fungus really well.
Now, there are other benefits to using wood chips as well. You talked about before on your Instagram about how wood chips kind of blocks the UV light from hurting the roots of the plants and the microbes.
Correct. So if you go to a medical office, or even if you go and look to like search air purifiers or air filters, one of the things that they're using to sterilize especially viral and bacterial microbiology
is UV light.
Is UV light, which is what we want. So this actually is kind of like putting an umbrella or a shade cloth over that microbiology and protecting it.
Like in Arizona, everybody puts a windshield shade in their car when they park it.
Right.
It's so hot here. This is the windshield shade for your plants.
Absolutely. And, you know, and there's more benefits too, is, you know, this is going to also act like an insulator, like a cooler, and really keep that soil cool. So
in the summer.
Absolutely. And it's also going to keep it warm in the winter. So when it's going to be...
Crazy.
When it's going to be, you know, you might have somebody that has a tomato that died on a cold night. If you've got it planted in enough mulch, you might see a little, you know, might look a little
But you might give it 5-10 degrees more help.
Absolutely. And we are in the desert here, so water. This is, you know...
It conserves water?
Hell yeah, it does. And so one thing that I like to say is that we all like went to college and probably lived a little rougher than we did now, and had... you know, like maybe you put a bowl of spaghetti in the refrigerator without putting saran wrap on it.
Dries out.
Yeah, it's like all crispy, but you know, you're in college, so you ate it. But
you put it in a Ziploc bag and close it.
You throw some saran wrap over it. That spaghetti is money. Like 3, 4, 5 days later.
So this is the packaging for the water and the soil.
It's sealing it all in the soil, which is where you want it. Where else do we need water here? We want it in the soil. We want it to be part of this whole system of microbiology, a living food web, and that's going to, in the long run, that's going to make the most absorbable, readily available plant food for all our food and flowers and medicine here that we're growing, you know, right in the backyard.
Let's go through some of the raised beds and tell us what kind of varieties of plants you're growing in the raised beds.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is like the first thing you see when you walk in. And really what we've got is kind of like a beautiful mixture of some flowers here.
What kind of flowers do you have planted here?
These are snapdragons. I've got some marigolds, and
marigolds are an edible one.
yeah, and these guys are all gonna play a place in attracting different beneficial insects such as wasps or hornets or bees or sweat bees, or you know, there's
carpenter bees.
Carpenter bees are phenomenal, and you know, and it's weird because I love carpenter bees, even though they'll kind of scare you sometimes. They creep up on you
like a big hummingbird almost,
and they're like, "Whoa, man, a little close." Like,
but they play a part in the great circle.
Well, and they do, and that's like with the passion fruit. A regular bee can't pollinate that because it's not big enough. There we go, flowers for lunch.
You got some dinosaur kale and leeks or onions mixed in?
This is actually just garlic right here.
Oh, the garlic mixed in, cool.
Yeah.
And next to the flowers, you even have some weeds getting in, but you're not stressing it because like this weed is like a rocket.
It's edible, and it tastes like Dijon mustard.
Yeah. So, and I'm one that always says that if you can deal with that mustardy taste,
I'm sure it's good for you.
It's going in your body and it's eradicating any kind of virus or illness from your cells.
Yeah, see? There you
so
go.
You've got the edible weeds here with the flowers, with the leafy greens, and the bulbous garlic.
And the mulch on the beds too. And you
just
can
on the top though, right?
Yeah, right. And well, there's mulch on the bottom as well.
Oh, on the very bottom of the bed.
Yeah, and that's going to kind of act as a sponge. And then, oh, this is spicy.
It's spicy. I can tell he's got the kick.
It does. It definitely does. It's good though, you know, especially if you like mix it in with something.
So you had the ground, you put wood chips on the native earth.
Correct.
Then compost and all your rock dust in your mix.
Yeah,
worm
like
castings.
Correct. So
and then
and
wood
that
chips
breaks
on top.
down over time too,
Right.
and then also holds some moisture in the bottom of the bed, kind of having more of like a wicking effect. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Go on, we got
what
a
do we
bunch
have
of stuff
behind
in
me
here.
here? Peach tree?
Yeah, I think it's like a desert gold peach tree that I need to kind of bring back up here.
Desert Gold's a great variety for the desert here because it's a low chill hour of peach.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Really good. They usually get them in like May, late May or June. Here is kind of similar. I think we got some calendulas here though, as far as the flowers.
Yep.
We're going to be adding some different things today as well.
You also love kale, and your website is actually growkale.com.
It is growkale.com.
If people want to contact you at your Instagram or grow kale, so you're growing kale, Tony.
Absolutely. And so it's been a little warm, and kale does not like 90 degrees. So, and I think the people that really, you know, you don't see it being just like a general consumer of food, but being a farmer and a grower, you really start to feel
it.
Absolutely, you know. And it's like I've got people are like, oh, let's plant kale in August. I'm like, no way.
Can't do that.
I'm not going to. Like, you're gonna.
That's the most powerful thing about gardening is it teaches you when foods are supposed to be ripe.
And that's something that
You're not supposed to eat watermelons in December.
No, you're not, unless you live in New Zealand or
Right.
Australia, you know. And that's one thing too I find, like, okay, what's coming up here is cold and flu season, dreaded. What else is coming up? Citrus season. What are you supposed to have when you're sick? Vitamin C. Like these
So
are
nature
not,
makes the citrus
these are not
ripe
coincidences.
during the season you're supposed to eat it.
Exactly.
You're supposed to eat leafy greens and citrus in the winter.
Which sounds great. I love that. You know, I could do that all day, every day.
But instead, people they eat summer crops from the grocery store, and then they get a flu shot.
Right.
Instead,
and
they
I'm not
could.
into that.
Me neither.
No.
Instead, they could eat what's ripe in their garden
and it's
have
cheaper. So like right
super
now, like apples were just harvested in a lot of the nation, right? And apples, like if you buy organic apples, they'll range anywhere from like maybe, I don't know, 99 cents to $1.50 up to $3, $4, $5 a pound. When they're harvested, they've got a massive amount of apples, and so they're moving those at a lower rate. It's a commodity rate, and so you're going to get apples for cheaper, you know, seasonal vegetables, whether it's apples or Brussels sprouts or whatever.
Because they're in abundant right then.
They're supposed to be sold that time, you know. So yeah, eating seasonally, good stuff. And then so this one here, we're growing this really beautiful Bermuda grass.
But everybody fights the Bermuda grass in town, and what I have found, and I want to tell this to gardeners out there, don't stress when you get some grass in your beds. I can tell that Tony's been like pulling it out manually, trying to keep a tabs on it.
I haven't. I had some.
Look, you just pulled up some garlic.
Oh wow, look at that.
That just came up. Tony,
amazing.
You're like a magician out here.
You're the magician.
Now tell us what you're doing. You're just dividing it up.
I'm gonna plant more garlic.
This is a good time of year for that.
It is, and this is, feel the soil. Look at how nice the soil is. It's so perfect for growing Bermuda.
Perfect, yeah, oh my God. But don't stress the Bermuda, because what I have found is that some of my raised beds that grow Bermuda that I just can't stop, the praying mantis all go to that bed. Because the praying mantids love to hide in the grass.
I didn't know that.
So whenever I clean out a bed full of Bermuda, I always have 10 or 20 praying mantis flying on me.
That's really, you know what? It's
so
weird.
Even the grass plays a role in the Great Circle.
Well, and I really believe that too, as far as grasses are. I mean, that's just like, it's one of our biggest biomes or you know, areas that's there. But
in the world, yeah.
But thinking back, I've had similar experiences with grass and praying mantises. I had like a kind of container area that was super overgrown, and it had just like Bermuda runners all over, and I always had a ton of praying mantises.
Absolutely.
That's cool. So we'll leave this.
What you just did is so powerful. You just took one bowl of garlic.
And I made it, what,
and you made it into
a dozen?
how many?
I don't know.
You just multiplied your money times 12.
And then I could take that next year and
like
do that
12
at 12
more.
again.
That's 144, right?
It's
12
like,
times 12.
It's like the garlic game is pretty serious.
So, yeah, and gardening game is serious. You could basically print your own money by doing this.
Absolutely.
What other investment can you multiply your investment times 12 in one season?
Well, and that's with everything here. Like those marigold or those calendulas right there. So right here, these are all seeds right here. And I never have actually buried one of these. The way I plant calendula, I've got a special technique.
Show us the technique.
All right, let me get ready.
Do it. I knew it.
And so those guys
and they just
really
will find
good.
a way, right?
And I bet that's one right there,
it is.
honestly.
For sure.
And it's such a good flower for medicinal purposes too. It's really good for skin ailments.
They boost the immune system.
They do boost the immune system. They are edible. They're good to attract beneficial insects. I really, really, really like calendulas, and they're so easy to grow and thrive. And again, too, you can take this flower, you can eat it, but you could also take it and you could make a lotion out of it, and it's going to help heal some different conditions. It was like skin conditions.
Which would be great for gardeners who are out in the sun all the time.
Like, I mean, look at my hands. They look like a turtle shell, you know? You got them too. Yeah, that's good. See, that's how to tell who to buy your food from at the farmer's market. Dude, make sure their hands look like this, okay?
Okay, in the martial arts world,
yeah,
because we do a lot of hand conditioning, also in the gardening world, when you shake hands with somebody, you can instantly tell who's serious and who's not.
Right, exactly.
By how the hand feels.
You know, it's like, I got little pads right here.
You feel like a skillful gardener.
Thank you.
Not a banker. Watch out.
No. Oh, well, got a little, you know, I think this is...
a pear.
I think it might be a pear. I think you might be right. And then, yeah. So, but what we're going to do on this is pretty cool. We're actually going to grow some mushrooms in here. So I was going to not fight the Bermuda like you were saying.
I just saw you on your Instagram inoculating one of your friends' raised beds who's a skateboarder.
Correct, yeah. Aaron, a lot of people know him as Jaws. Yeah. And so what we did there, and we're going to do the same thing here. And I really think that, you know, fungal is part of this great living cycle, you know? And so fungal hyphae and mycorrhizal fungus and just mycelium in general is part of healthy soil. So why not cultivate it?
The edible ones.
Yeah, why not? You know, so why not put some oyster mushrooms in here? Why not put some King Stropharia mushrooms in here? And what we're doing is we're stacking functions. We're using permaculture type of techniques in order to multiply our value out of this 4 foot by 4 foot space. You know?
So this is going to be a mushroom bed coming up.
Correct. We'll put some other stuff in here too, but it'll still be mushrooms in there.
That's sweet.
So over here, one of my favorite things to grow at this time of year, and I'm sure you love it too, Jake. I'll share some with you here.
Now it looks like celery, but
it is celery.
Tell us, did you plant it by seed or not? I know that you and I used to get our compost from a juice company in town that would give us the pulp.
The pulp, and so these actually came from starts, burying the cuttings of the celery.
When juice companies and they juice celery, they don't juice the root.
Correct.
So you could actually take that root, replant it, and grow a whole nother stock from it.
You can do that, and this is a little bitter right now, but it's been warm. But celery is such a healthy food, and it's just got a much more robust flavor when you grow it your own. Most stuff does.
Much more sweet, intense flavor.
I just really could eat this all day. And I love juicing it.
And how about these guys?
So this is some kind of onion, and I think these must be coming up from last year.
Like some sort of walking onion or something.
It's either that or, yeah, it might just be like a red or a white onion too.
So listen, we can do some piece of celery.
Okay.
With half a leaf of London Rocket
There you go.
with, is this a calendula?
No, that's a marigold.
Oh,
You're good.
With a marigold.
You're in the clear.
With a little piece of the
onion.
volunteer onion.
You got like a garden taco right there. This is like
spring burrito.
There you go. Oh wow. How is that? I bet that's pretty good.
I have superpowers now.
That's amazing. I've been working on that too. I just got to eat the garden taco. Okay, so over here, again, this is kind of like a focal point for a few of the rooms here. And so when you look at this, it just looks pretty. I don't, you know, it really has a, I believe these are like a petunia.
And you're growing these flowers because the homeowner here wants the flowers, but also some of the flowers you have are medicinal, edible, but some are just decorative because they bring in the beneficial pollinators.
The other homeowners here are
bees.
like that right there, that
Hummingbirds,
butterflies.
butterflies.
And that's like a really good one for that too, is this passion fruit vine.
Over here.
And this guy makes these beautiful blooms. I don't think there's any on here right now. It's a little chilly.
But these passion vines do great in the Phoenix area.
They do, and you know, and they make a really good fruit. And then also the flower is medicinal. It's actually a sedative.
Really?
And used
I didn't know
as
that.
Yeah, it's actually used in a lot of opiate addiction recovery.
So the
because it's
passion
able-
flower is a sedative.
And look at that right there. That's a queen butterfly coming right now as we're talking about things to attract. Look at that. It's like we called the head.
So tell us about the passion fruit flower again.
So the passion fruit flower is used in a tea form. You steep it as a sedative. So it can be used for somebody that might be having problems sleeping. It's been also used pretty widely, from my understanding, in detoxification from opiates. So there's a lot of pain medication.
Like organ detox.
Or I think
Blood
it just kind of,
detox.
I think with the opiates, there's a bit of uncomfortableness, and this kind of calms that really racing anxiety that comes with.
Maybe if you combine the passion flower with like chamomile,
That would
have
be
this
a good
nice
one.
sleepy time, relaxing tea.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe like a valerian root or something. Those would be really good to get you down. Another really beautiful beneficial flower, as well as a food producer here. This is actually an artichoke, and I put these throughout. I really like using artichokes for multiple reasons. Organic accumulator, where basically
Like a sunflower where they can detox the earth.
not a bioaccumulator, but they basically, when these break off, they add organic matter to your soil really well.
Oh wow, okay.
So
basically you're saying the artichoke leaves accumulate nutrients in the leaves, and when they die out, put them back into the soil because they break down and relinquish that nutrients back into the earth.
absolutely. So between the microbiology, taking it, it's basically like a passive composting system, but
Yeah.
they work really well for that. Also, they're perennial, so we could have these for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I don't have to mess with this box every year, and I put them.
And they get huge, they produce tons of fruits, and the flower is
are
like
beautiful.
a sea anemone.
It is. It's like
amazing.
this big purple sea anemone. The bees absolutely love them. If you're into like market gardening, I've seen people sell those flowers for like $6 or $7.
Wow.
At the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And artichokes are kind of like the crab legs of the vegetable world. You know, you got to work for that little bit.
Yeah.
But they're just delicious. You know.
Yeah.
So artichokes are a staple in my kind of low desert gardens.
The best part about the artichokes, though, is that you don't have to kill the crab to get the artichoke. The plant keeps living.
Yeah.
The plant keeps going.
And I'm a Cancer, so I'm a crab. So I don't want to, you know,
Don't hurt your
don't
sign.
crack my shell.
So if we walk down this way, Tony, you've got some other small beds.
Yeah.
You've got artichokes in between.
Absolutely, we've got a little spinach here, and then there's also a little bit of lettuce kind of sprinkled in there with a couple weeds.
So this is your spinach, and tell us some of the ingredients that are in your soil for raised beds.
So in this one, we're going to use a local veganic compost, which means we're not using any kind of animal manures in there.
Okay.
I do use some animal manures, but specifically this compost.
Would
is
you
made
consider
from-
worm castings an animal manure or not?
I mean, technically, but it's more of like a soil. It doesn't have worm castings like smell like good soil.
Absolutely.
Not, and I want to show you guys something. This is what spinach should look like thick like this, and look at how green that is on the inside. And that's because these are eating that good soil. Like if you kind of peel this back, right there is what I tell people. Your food, that's chlorophyll right there. That is helping your body more than you can imagine.
And you know what the thing is a lot of people, they smoke a lot of pot to get high. What I have found is that people that come to my place and eat a salad straight out of the garden, they'll get equally high off the nutrients of this. Because most humans in today's world are nutrient deficient.
Absolutely.
Because the food in the store is grown in soil that has no minerals in it.
Right.
So if I feed them proper
magnesium
food from a garden,
right,
20 minutes later they're like, Jake, I'm totally buzzing like I just drank.
That's amazing.
And they get high off the nutrients.
Wow, I must be high all the time then.
I'm staying with me.
That's great. All right, so next one here, we kind of just did a little bit more greens, a little bit more of the same. And we did a little bit of lettuce there, but we just harvested it, so it's not too pretty. And you can see here, we've been growing here for a while, and right here, a tomato, which is totally out of season, has just popped up. And so that's happened multiple times here where we've
But if it popped up on its own, it's possibly going to make it.
Well, it wants to be there.
It wants to be there.
You know, it's a volunteer.
And that's the goal with a garden, I think, is to make it so that the garden is growing on its own season by season, year by year, with just a little bit of input from you.
It's, yeah, lessening the inputs is definitely an end goal for any property or project I take on. And so we might do more work up front. However, in the long term, you know, we've got a lot of things here that, like you're saying, like I might have to trim these fruit trees in February or January or whatever, but I don't really need to do much to them. You know, I give them a few scoops of food a few times a year, and you know, they can produce hundreds of pounds of fruit for 20, 30, 50 years, who knows, you know, if not longer, you know. So this property specifically, we really went with a long-term goal, and like I was saying, the first year with your garden, especially if you're using permaculture techniques, can be a little rough sometimes. You know, you're waiting for maybe
the soil's brand new,
you're waiting for that wood to break down. That doesn't happen overnight,
plus you kind of are new, and
so you're like trying all this other stuff.
The soil's new,
right? And
come year 4, the soil's great, you're great.
Chilling, you're like, you know, you've kind of calmed down a bit.
I think for gardeners out there at home is just be consistent and stick with it and don't give up.
Yeah,
like in the martial arts, like a black belt versus a white belt. What makes a black belt? Well, they just didn't give up.
Experience. Yeah.
That's because they didn't give up.
Time,
a white belt always stops coming.
Yeah.
A yoga master, a yogi, just kept coming to class.
Right.
And so a gardener, keep coming to class, and you'll be the black belt.
Yeah. Right on.
Let's see the back of the property.
All right, let's head back there, Jake.
Tony, this plant looks beautiful, growing here in the ground. What
yes.
do we got here?
This is actually a Mexican elderberry, and these are really cool. It actually prefers to be in kind of like river bottom type of areas.
I've hiked a lot where the Mount Baldy area, where Sunrise Ski Resort is in the summertime.
Oh, awesome.
It's very marshy.
Okay.
And elderberries are everywhere.
Did you harvest some?
They were only flowering at that time. They put off like a little interesting looking, like a dill flower.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of flowers in one. Well, these are really cool. The reason I planted this one was actually that elderberry has been shown to be an antiviral and actually like a natural flu. It'll battle the flu, so it'll combat the flu. And it's really been a hardy plant because he has other landscapers that come here, and somebody actually cut this down. You can see.
No. Yeah.
And so this was like it was taller than the wall.
That's one thing. The landscapers are always messing up the garden.
Yeah. So we've had a little bit of a conversation there, and that won't happen anymore.
Cool.
So this has kind of become my space to manage, and we've made that clear because this was a really cool plant. And
but they do consider the elderberry like an Arizona native. Yeah,
and you know, like in the summertime, they look like crap, and they just kind of like go to but then once it cools off, you get those monsoon rains, they just swell. So that was a really cool one too.
That's great. How about this bed? What do you have? What do you have growing in this bed? You got some
a little bit of lettuce here, and then we've got some sunflowers as well as some Swiss chard.
Nice.
And the Swiss chard is such a good, versatile plant. They look pretty. That's like the rainbow variety, so that one looks like it's going to be yellow or something.
And they'll be a perennial here in town. They'll keep going for season after season.
They really will, and especially kind of in a little microclimate. We've got this white Italian fig here, which I picked up off of Craigslist. I'm going to have to take some cuttings of this year because it is delicious. Yeah. Is there one on there?
Not quite ready yet, but it's close.
Okay, let's see if there's one that's ready. Because they are one of my favorites. This is like, it almost just tastes like honey. But this was another one, you know, and this is one thing that I like to do is really plant like a fig. You know, you can just get a cutting from somebody and grow this whole tree, you know, which is great. So there's a lot of variety out there available through different avenues like Craigslist or OfferUp. So.
And for the Phoenix area, I talk about as far as fruit trees grow, for the desert Southwest, the date palm, a female fruiting date palm is the queen.
But they're expensive.
They're expensive, they're hard to find, but I have found my best date palms and Craigslist.
Yeah.
Because folks that were part of some garden club
I think a lot of people find their best dates on Craigslist.
Whoa, I just learned a lot about you.
Yeah, there you go.
No, but it's true. For that kind of date or the other kind of date, Craigslist is the go-to place.
Right on. So now we're kind of walking here, and we've got some of these citrus are not looking as good as they could, but we do also have another passion fruit, and this is a
Edulus or the Frederick.
A Frederick variety, and so this guy was really just to about here, and I did it maybe a month ago. And so this one should help this one pollinate. We want to have some cross-pollination here.
Because one we showed earlier
is
a different variety than this one.
Correct. And so, and passion fruit can be a little sensitive with only one plant and need multiple plants. Some of them do not, but a lot of them do. So a lot of times you need at least 2 plants. And I'm not, you know, I wasn't really aware of that. So I kind of did my research and figured it out, so I'm sharing it with you guys. Okay, so another thing over here, what we've got is actually some more perennialized beds, and
like asparagus.
Asparagus is a really good one, and you can't eat these right away. You need about at least a year to start to harvest them. But what happens with asparagus is you plant the root system, and every spring or fall or whatever, it actually shoots up like this, and that's how you get your asparagus. So you want to chop your asparagus at the root. Right now, this is obviously pretty thin. You wouldn't have much to eat there.
Yeah, it's got to kind of cluster out and get kind of like a foresty kind of look.
Exactly, and and it's pretty cool when it comes up because it's just like these little like spears coming out of the ground.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of your asparagus food forest here.
Absolutely, and then this is another perennial crop where we don't have to year after year.
Sure, and then strawberries too. They put off their runners, and they'll just keep popping up new strawberries everywhere.
Correct. And these guys, there was a lot more of them in here, but we had a pretty hot summer, so we lost a couple.
So it's pretty cool how in just 18 months, you can have a garden that has a lot of things that are just at the genesis. They're just starting out.
Yes.
Other things that are thriving and doing great, and you can be successful in just a year and a half.
Absolutely, and I mean successful in 90 days, really.
Yeah,
if you know, with like a container, or even 15 days if you do like a microgreens or pea shoots or something like that. Mm-hmm. But you know, I would say this is a really good example of a dynamic place where we've grown everything, you know, pretty much that you would buy at the grocery store here, from broccolis to cauliflowers to, you know, we've got carrots, celery, and whatnot. And it's just kind of all cycles. So
I really appreciate you giving us the insight of your garden project, and you have so many garden projects working.
Yeah, we're staying busy, man.
Do you promise if we can connect and feature more of your gardens on my channel?
I would love to do that, and I'd love to feature you too, Jake.
If folks want to find out more about you, the best place is at growkale.com and Tony Grows Food Instagram.
Yes, sir.
I'll put all that down below. And do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. There's some, you know, I think it's under my name. If you search Tony Kasowski on YouTube, I think there is a YouTube channel there. I haven't been putting a ton of content up, but that's on the short list. So
the next video I want to do with you is a video all about how to plant the mushroom spore.
Let's do it.
Because you're an expert on that, and I want to see how you're doing it.
I'm a beginner. I'm a beginner hobby mycologist, not an expert. But there's a lot. I'm reading some books right now to gain a little bit more knowledge and insight into that kind of thing. So, I wanna see what you're doing. Yeah, well, we can do it. All right, guys. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good one.
You guys, bonus scenes for those of you who stuck around to the end of the video. I love doing bonus scenes because when I see a good superhero movie, the best part is when the credits are done and there's a bonus scene. So always stick with me to the end of my videos here at Vegan Athlete. There's a guy named Wim Hof, and I follow him on Instagram. And when you guys are not watching my gardening or vegan food videos, I'm doing meditation and Tai Chi and Kung Fu and martial arts on my other channel that has almost 700,000 subscribers on it, called Kung Fu and Tai Chi with Jake Mace. So go check out that channel. In that channel, so much of the stances, the horse stances, the Dantian breathing, we call it the Dantian breathing, the Tai Chi, the Qigong, the meditation, is very traditional, and it has roots from Taoism and Buddhism. And that guy Wim Hof is alive today, and he also practices a lot of postures and stances and Qigong and meditation to allow him to heat his body up to insane levels so he can do insane feats of physical strength in cold climates, like the polar ice swimming or running in the snow in like high mountain ranges. In this garden, they're trying and experimenting with some Wim Hof methods of breathing meditation and mental focusing. My man Tony Where's your ice cubes? Where's your water?
I'm just chilling. I'm taking a break. I don't know what you're talking about over there, but no. This we put this in here actually
Because they want to practice some Wim Hof stuff.
Exactly, and so this is a perfect place to really get your centered. You're obviously much more knowledgeable, but we've got this nice bathtub built to match the garden beds.
How come we don't have you in there with the icy, slushy water right now?
Well, because like you said, this was kind of like an outtake, so it's
Yeah.
like very. It was kind of spur of the moment, but no, I would like to do that though. I've heard it's really good for inflammation, which we get a lot of being gardeners.
Can I come back here in like a month or two from now for an update, and then we get in the tub with ice in it?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna ask if you could come in the tub, but
Yeah,
I think we got a little bit of space here, so all right, there we go.
I don't know about this. I don't like this, but
this is new and exciting.
No, I don't want you to massage me. Don't make it weird, Tony.
I'm glad I'm in back. Have a good one, guys.